hold on, recording, okay. It's a 14-year-old school founded by Brooke Castillo. Brooke Castillo is the lady who runs this podcast, the top 4 entrepreneur podcast in the state on Apple Podcasts. That's actually how I found out about her. So as a life coach, I help people manage their minds as they evolve into the best version of themselves. We human beings has the most complex, sophisticated brain on this planet. It means that we can do a lot of amazing things, but it also means that during the journey, when you're growing or evolving, a lot of things are gonna come up in your brain because you're constantly making meaning. So it could be things like fear, self-doubts, judgment, urges to avoid discomfort. So by showing my clients their mind, I help them master awareness of all these things in their brain and realize their power. And so they can have the ability to unstuck quickly on the growth journey. My style of coaching is causal coaching, which means I help clients treat the cause of the problems versus the symptoms. So for example, a client is overweight, right? I don't try to change the action. I don't tell them to, eat less, exercise more. The work with her would be on uncovering and managing the thoughts that are causing the feelings that drives the action of overeating and not exercising. So by only when you work on the cause, would I be able to offer my client a permanent solution to the problem? Enough about me. I want to know about you guys. There are a lot of friends, but also a lot of people I haven't seen before. So tell me, why are you here? Type in this poll with a number. Number 1, I've heard about life coaching. I'm here to learn what's in it for me. Number 2, I know I need to work on my beliefs to reach my money goals, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. Number 3, I know coaching tool already, but could use a few more tips. Number 4, it's really hot outside. So what is it?
I guess, yeah. Somebody is going to answer it's really hot outside.
Yeah. So how do I see the result?
I think after they vote, you can see the results.
Okay.
I was trying to vote, but I couldn't vote.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so first to the most, right? So for the beginners or you're just starting to learn about this work, you are going to learn about the 3 things, the 3 key tools that I use when I coach people. And then for the second bucket, that people who know that they need to work on their money beliefs, by the end of this webinar, you're gonna have a step-by-step guide. So hopefully that you can take right away and start the work. Very little people say they have done coaching, but for those the 2 that have done it, maybe this could be a refresher for you. And the 7, who are these people?
Yeah, not me.
All right, so my promise. Oops, hold on. How do I turn this off? Close. Okay.
I'll just close it. Close, right?
Yeah. Okay, so my promise is that we are going to look at the most overlooked and number 1 thing you need to do to reach your money goal, which is working on your money beliefs. This is important because the belief is what the ultimate cause of your money result. And if you don't do this, you might miss the chance to live your rich life as you always dream of. Okay, so let's do concept first, belief. Why is belief important? Everything, if you think about it, everything new ever created by humans starts with a thought in a person's brain. If you don't allow yourself to think, you cannot create anything. And if you don't think purposefully, you cannot create purposeful thing, which in this context is your wealth level, right? Your money goals. There's no exception to this rule. Everything new created by a sentence. So think of all the wonderful things in this world. The iPhone, the Frozen franchise, the Tesla car, they all start with a sentence in someone's brain. So what are beliefs? Beliefs are basically thoughts that you think over and over again. This is just a sentence in your brain, and it's typically based on the past, because that's what your brain would tell you to defer to. And these beliefs are taught to you maybe directly or indirectly. They are so ingrained, you might not even realize that they exist. For example, like think about like in the morning, you look out to the world, open your window door, whatever. You would think, oh, today is a beautiful day, and that's your truth. Or you look at your coworker, and then you think she is unkind, right? And that's your belief, right? That's the truth. Or you tell yourself, I'm not good enough. I'm not good at this, right? That's like another belief. So it's like water to a fish. It's hard for a fish to see the water. And most of us look out the world thinking, oh, we're observing the world objectively. But what's happening is you see something, you see a circumstance, and then your brain started making meaning, and that is your truth. The meaning has judgment in it, and it's based on what you learn and believe in the past. Okay, so tell me guys, what thoughts comes up when you think about money? Type your answer in the chat box. Okay, how do I see the chat box?
There's a chat button.
Chat box, okay, yeah. Chat box, all right. Freedom, choices, anxiety, dreams. I never have enough, interesting. Retirement, happiness, source of economy, powerful, complicated, hard work.
Easy to spend, but hard to make.
Hard to make.
I love that one.
That's the main thought in my head most of the time. More please, evil, right? Love it. Okay, so ask yourself, right? What do you notice about these thoughts in your head? Are they more like thoughts on the left side of the slide or those on the right side of the slide? Do you think money is abundant, very easy, so fun to make money, I love money? Or is it more along the lines of hard, you need to work hard, I never have enough, I will never have enough, and only greedy people focus on money, right? Which I think like in your answers, you have you have like a whole spectrum of that, right? So what is money? Money literally is in the circumstance bucket, right? It's some paper. Humans collectively decide that we assign value to it, and we'll use it as a medium for exchange, right? So, and this collective thought serves us in functioning in this society. But yet notice how many other thoughts and how many emotions we just like immediately tie to that as well. But I think what like all of us here can agree, despite all these different emotions that we tie to it, we can all agree that more of the money would serve our life, right? Because money can solve almost all problems. It would speed things up. It buys you time, buys you freedom, which a lot of you said in the chat, right? Buy your learning opportunity. It would make life easier. You feel better living your life. Why not, right? Yet we notice many people don't have a relationship with money, including those that are very educated, very smart people, some of these people might even be advising people on money matters every single day. Like most people, if you ask what's the top priority in their lives, right? Wealth is likely to be one of the top 3. However, if you ask them about the number or what's your number, what's your money goal, it's blank. Not to mention about like any action plan towards that goal. It's like I ask them about, so what's the name of your kid? And they say they don't know, they haven't thought about it, right? So to understand why that is, and to really understand why we're making the money that we make today in our lives, we need to be really curious and examine the money beliefs. And likely than not, there's a clutter of them in our head. And these are the things that ultimately determines our money result. Because it's always the sentence in the head that is the ultimate cause of the result. So we grow up, as we grow up, our parents, our schools, the society tells us a lot of different things about money. They are likely in your brain right now, and you don't even know about it. It's in your subconscious. So today, I'm going to show you a step-by-step process to uncover what's in your head, so we can be more aware of the mental blocks that keep you from reaching your goals. Okay. So it's a 3-step process. The first step is uncovering what's inside. The second step is learning to understand then where your power is, where your control is. The third step is a tool. We're going to go through a tool where you can use to coach yourself. So let's jump in. Okay, first step is what we call a thought download. This process is exactly like what Marie Kondo would tell you to do as the first step when you declutter your home. You need to stock take what you have right now. She will actually say, like, take out all your stuff and then put them in categories, right? So that's exactly what we're going to do with the thoughts in your head. So what you need, very simple. You probably can find all these at your home: a pen, paper. Need to, block 30 minutes of undistracted focus time in your calendar. What gets scheduled gets done. And then during that focus time, make sure no one is bothering you. And then you will be writing the 4 key aspects of money on the paper. So just write down, depending on how big your notebook is, like write money on 1 page, earning money, second page, title of second page, spending money, third page, having money. And then you're going to go through like each of the bucket and just write down your raw thoughts, not censored, unedited. Don't judge yourself. No one's going to look at it. It's just you and the paper. So like in the money section, ask yourself, like, how do you think about money? Is it this big pie in the world that everyone get a piece of it? Is it unlimited, or can you like bake more pies? What's your thought about rich people? What's your thought about poor people? Right? If someone give you a lot of money, what would you do about it? Would you tell people about it? Why and why not? And what do you think they would say about you? Right? Some like just go unedited and then write everything you can think of. The second bucket, earning money. So how much do you make now, and what's your thought about that amount? What verb do you use when you think of more money? Is it making money, finding money, earning money, creating money, borrowing money? Any thoughts about that? Right? It's not just about creating money, but it's also about like when you receive money, do you have resistance? Like, I don't want to owe anyone. Do you feel bad about getting a lot of money? So things like that. Spending money. Do you spend money when you feel good? Do you feel good first before spending money? When you make the biggest purchases, and what were you seeking? What feeling were you seeking when you did those purchases? Right, having money. This is the section when I did this exercise, is the void, is the lightest, right? So in here, you want to think about, do you have a relationship with money, or do you have a relationship with what money can buy? Do you love money, or do you actually love what money can buy? Most of us do have too many things, but not enough money. So, and if you don't have a relationship with the money, you're likely going to spend it all when you get the money. So a tip of doing this exercise, tap into the past, present, and future. Like, think of the past incidents when you get your first job, when you get paid, first time in your life with a big bonus. Like, tap into those instances and see what thoughts come up, right? Also, like, tune into negative feelings. Think of the insignificant instances in your life. Are there, like, tune in those feelings, because with a negative feeling, you probably have a negative thought about something. And then also, like, go through blocker thoughts, meaning when you go through each bucket, think about, do you not like something? Do you don't want something that you would say something doesn't work? Because those are the areas you want to pay attention to. Working on those will bring you the most growth, likely. Okay, so the point of this exercise is now you have all your thoughts dumped onto the paper, and you can be the watcher of yourself. Now the goldfish can see the water, right? So second step, distinguish stories from facts. This work is important because you will realize facts don't hurt, thoughts do. If you don't do this work, you will continue to go through your life thinking you're powerless and your life is determined by some external things. Okay, so what do we do exactly? You have now a list of your thoughts about money. Go through them one by one and try to circle the facts in your sentence. And what are facts? What's the definition? How do we distinguish? Facts are something that everyone would agree. It's outside of us, we have no control of. Story, which is your truth, is subjective. It is a choice, it is decision inside of us. Not everyone would agree. So you can do the movie test, which is if Steven Spielberg can come in and take a video of what's happening, the facts would be the things that you can see on screen, and everyone would agree. So let's do an example, right? Okay, example 1. I am not qualified for promotion to global role. Tell me, type in the box again, what's the factual part of the sentence? I'm not qualified for is the story. Promotion to global role is the fact, right? Example 2. A mom saying, I don't have enough time. I have to take care of my kids. So tell me in the box, which part is the fact? Have to take care of my kids is the fact. Time my kids, yeah. Not an, okay. So none of it is the fact. You have some, oh, wait, hold on. So none of that, like, I don't have enough is a story. I have to is a story. Time and my kids are the facts. Okay, so let's look at the most common money thoughts. This is a list of things that me and Steph work together to come up. That's what we hear from our clients, right? So tell me, what is the factual part in all these sentences? Type in the chat box. Money.
I guess we all like all the nouns, just the nouns are the facts.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All of them are stories. There are no facts here. The story, well, the factual part might be when you're thinking of an income or you're like asking your client for money. It's the money part that is the circumstance, right? Okay. And how do I know that these are all stories? Because it's easy for me to think of an example or someone else who might think differently, like my investor friend who like read about investing and investment all the time until like 3 a.m. and it's entertainment for him. He thinks money is fun. And or like Oprah Winfrey, who create, money by creating value, like billions of net worth, right? If you divide it by the time she put in her talk show, it doesn't make sense, right? Or like my life coach teacher, Brooke Castillo, she always say, you can always create more pies. World is not a zero-sum game, right? So the point of this exercise is to recognize facts we cannot change. We have no control of. Your truth is really in your head and it's completely subjective. And it's our choice to pick what story we believe in. We just need to decide. It's a decision. It's true that we are good. It's true that we are bad. It's true that that was a bad investment. It's also true that that was good learning, right? It's true that there's no way I can triple my income. It's also true that I'm on my way to triple my income. So notice when you think these different thoughts, what the difference in feelings that it creates in you. The step 3, this is like the most useful tool you will ever learn in your life. Because if you understand the model, you will understand the universe. So what is the model? The model has 5 parts. Circumstance. This is what's out in the world can be proven, right? We talked about it, right? The thought. Once our human brain perceive a circumstance, we're gonna automatically make meaning out of it. This is the thought. This is the story inside of us, a choice, a decision. And then because we're human beings, when we think a thought, it's gonna generate a feeling in our body. These are emotions, vibrations in our body. We often think circumstance causes our feelings. For example, we say things like, oh, he hurt my feelings. My best friend is in town, so I'm excited. But it's not the circumstance that makes you feel that way. It's the thought about the circumstance that makes you feel that way. And then from that place of feeling, you are gonna, prompt into certain actions, behaviors, action, or inaction. For example, we eat because we feel lonely. I avoid my boss because I feel angry. I splurge on a bag because I feel stressed, right? And then your action is going to create the result, which is your life, right? The effects of our action. So overweight is a result of overeating. Dysfunctional working relationship is a result of avoiding your boss. So, example, you go back home, you see the toilet seat is up, that's your circumstance, right? And then you have thought about your husband. Now I have to do it. He never pulls his weight. He does not respect me, Bunch of thoughts, which generates a feeling, anger, which then you yell at your husband, act mean to get even, stop listening, refrain from sharing, showing love. And the result is, then you show up as a wife that is disrespecting the husband, right? So you can use the model to do 2 things. One is to understand your current money result. Do your big money model, right? So it could be, the circumstance is always the same, which is your money. So for example, your current annual income is your circumstance. You then have a thought about it. Money has to be earned with hard work, which maybe generate this feeling of determined. I have to be committed and determined, which prompts you into action. Get a really good corporate job at a wonderful company, move my way up. And your money result would be the corporate job income level, right? There's, say you're a corporate lawyer, the range is a set range. Or you can do it on your net worth, right? The thought might be, oh, I should be satisfied. I already have, I don't know how many millions in your bank account. I should be satisfied. I should not be greedy. So the feeling might be comfortable. And then you go into maintenance mode. You do the same thing. You keep money in cash, and maybe you actually don't review your portfolio often. So the result would be then your net worth has less growth, right? If you do that. So that's for understanding. The second thing you can do with this tool is to build intentionality in your life. So now you can put your money goal in your result line and work backwards up. So to generate a target net worth of Y million, then ask yourself, what action should I be taking? And to do all those, it's likely to be a lot of hard things, right? The more ambitious your goal is, the more hard things you might be doing. And so you need a feeling that would prompt you into all those actions, a positive feeling. And then you go up and ask yourself, then what thought can I try on to, feel that way? And to build intentionality, right? Because ultimately, remember, all new things start with the thought, a sentence in your brain. And your new wealth level starts with a sentence in your brain. So there we go, guys. So that's what I want to share with you. It's a high level view of the life coaching tool. Now you know the 3 things you can use to declutter your money beliefs. And please don't treat this webinar as a Netflix movie, which you feel good watching the content and then you go on live the same life. Go block the 30 minutes with yourself right now. Put it in the calendar. And my last word, because we're talking about money goals now, is that there's no amount of money that you can earn to give you a feeling. Even you did end up getting that job that pays more, even if your portfolio 10x in the next 12 months, even if you won the lottery, it's your thought that create the feeling. Your wealth is only a circumstance and it won't give you that feeling. So work on your thought, guys. I hope all of you do, create a lot of money and be the most amazing version of yourself every single day.
Okay. Thank you, Diane. That was really great. I think the most important thing I learned was differentiating facts from stories. I probably have a million stories in my head and maybe not many facts. So I should learn how to declutter that. Maybe that's really easy. Okay, we're going to move to the second part of our webinar tonight. For those who don't know, you probably do. Stephanie Leung is our head of StashAway Hong Kong and also our group deputy CIO. She started her career at McKinsey's in consulting, and then she, like Diane, pivoted to finance, where she started her career in finance in Goldman, starting in macro research, and then moved on to the prop trading desk. So she was at Goldman for 8 years, and then she went on to found a hedge fund, which later she moved on to a multifamily office where she was a deputy CIO, and then she also, before StashAway, ended her career at not ended her career, but her last career. Sorry, her last career before StashAway was a single-family office. So obviously, she's had, even though it was always in investments, it was extremely illustrious. So I'm going to ask Stephanie a question first before she goes into debunking those money beliefs that Diane walked us through earlier. So Stephanie, obviously you had a very illustrious career. You had and have a very illustrious career in investing. So could you maybe share some things that you struggle with in your past or current roles as deputy CIO or as a trader? Maybe some mental blocks or biases that you had to work hard on removing?
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Marilyn. And I mean, I like to thank Diane for the very wonderful presentation that she gave. I mean, I learned a few things from that as well. I think decluttering applies to not just your house, but definitely to your mind. And I mean, Diane and I actually share some passion in like kind of making our lives more productive, and decluttering definitely makes our life a lot more productive, other than money beliefs. But that's a separate talk. I guess I mean, just to answer Marilyn's question, to me, actually, yeah, I love investing because investing is actually I guess it to me it's a problem solving every day. You're trying to problem solve the market, trying to problem solve companies, economies, sectors, etc. And I really think that, I mean, I'm going to go into my presentation shortly, but there's a big distinction between trading and investing. And to be able to be a successful trader, because I've been both. I was actually a trader at Goldman. Later on, I became an investor when I was running the hedge fund as well as the family offices. But it actually was two completely different mindsets and very, very different skills. So maybe with that, I'll just jump into the presentation and share some debunking of money beliefs with all of you guys. Let me just share my screen. All right. Can you guys see? Good, right? Okay, cool. So I guess we've actually all learned a lot from Diane and the essentials of decluttering the money beliefs in terms of like uncovering clusters in your brain, i.e. thought download, and understanding. I mean, we've all gone through the exercise of differentiating the facts versus the story, and really like understand that a lot of things that are in our mind are stories instead of facts. And then lastly, I mean, Diane very kindly introduced us to a very useful model to help us to really understand the world and become more intentional. So what I'm going to be focusing on is actually, how do you differentiate the facts versus story? So at StashAway, we have existing users as well as new, I guess, to-be customers here. And at StashAway, we actually use a lot of data for our analytics and for us to make our investment decisions. So, I mean, differentiating the facts versus story to us is actually very, very important. Now, you were told that a lot of these were stories, right? I mean, money is hard. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work to earn it. You don't have time to make more money. You don't have the right education. You don't have the right resources. And you're always kind of afraid to make the wrong decisions. And I mean, we all kind of try to accept that these are stories. But actually, how do you make sure that you actually believe in them? So we're going to help you we're going to look at some data to help you to actually convince yourself that these are actually stories and not facts. So before that, I'd like to do a little poll with all of you guys. And Marilyn has pulled up the poll. So basically, we have three very common money stories here. So help us to pick the one that you think is your top one that is standing between you and reaching your wealth goal. So the first one, money is hard. Second one, I don't want to make the wrong decision. It's just very, very stressful. And then number three, I don't think I have enough to start investing or to be able to generate investment incomes that would become meaningful. So I'll give all of you guys maybe some time to pick your top money belief. Let me know if when we have the results. I mean, for maybe for some of us who want to pick all three, but I guess the majority of us, close to 60% of us, thinks that I don't want to be making the wrong decision is the biggest, I guess, money roadblock or blocker that's separating you from your wealth goals. About 20%, actually similar number of people chose money is hard and I don't have enough to invest meaningfully. So that's great. I mean, we're going to all go through all three of them in the rest of the presentation. Now, the first one, money is hard. I guess the first thing that I wanted to talk about is how do you make money, right? When I say make money, it's making passive income, making money from your investments, or making money from trading, i.e. making money from financial assets, right? Of course, I mean, if you have a job and you have to work every day and night to generate income, that is of course hard, but we're just focusing on the passive income here. Now, I mentioned a bit trading is actually very, very different from long-term investing. One of them is super hard. The other one is relatively easier. And I guess a lot of you would be able to guess like which one is hard and which one is easy. So trading is actually very, very hard. But investing long-term is a relatively painless and even a very, very rewarding journey. So why? Why is trading so hard? Actually, to take a step back, let's kind of really look at what is trading and what is investing. So trading is somebody who's trying to, I mean, both involve buying and selling securities, right? But trading actually involves profiting from the market volatility, i.e. from market prices. Whereas for investing, think about investing like you're investing in a factory. You're a business owner, right? Investing in some resources that would generate income because you can fundamentally produce some goods and sell it and generate profit. So investing is actually trying to profit from the economic return of a business or an economy. I say, for example, if you buy stocks, then you're a minority shareholder of a company. So you would share the benefit if the company can sell the products and have a good margin. If you're a bondholder, then you actually profit from the company not going bankrupt and then paying you interest coupons every now and then. So if you're a trader, so back in the days when I was a trader at Goldman, I mean, what we were trying to profit from were mostly short-term fluctuations, because even though, let's say, equities and bonds go up in the long term, in the short term, there's a lot of ups and downs. These are ups and downs purely exist in a financial market, right? Whenever you have people buying and selling because of emotions, because of like market news, a lot of things, you have prices fluctuating. And trading is basically taking advantage of all these different fluctuations, or these are market mispricing that a trader is trying to profit from. So the motivation of a trader is actually very, very different from the motivation of an investor. So why is trading so hard? I mean, here I put, I've actually looked at all the biases, all the human biases that we have as a human being, right? That are against us to be effective as a trader. I mean, simply put it, I mean, human beings are just not wired to be a trader. I mean, we have biases, including too much information. Let's say, I mean, we cannot filter out the noise versus the real information. We have biases that prevent us from, I guess, separating what is fact that we should remember versus, I mean, the memories that we were benefiting from, or the better memories. So we have selective memories. We also are afraid of being out of consensus, because I mean, human beings are naturally a herd-based species. So that's why we have all these different stresses when we're trading the market. Like questions like, oh, should I buy the dip, or should I wait? Should I take profit? Is it going to go up? Is the stock market going to go up forever? FOMO is also a very, very common phenomena. It's basically a fear of missing out. So if other people are making money, I'm not making money, I feel bad. And then also, cut losses when a trade goes against what I expect. Should I actually stop loss, or should I hold on to it, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of these different decisions that you need to make when you are a trader. And a lot of these are very, very hard decisions to make because we are not wired to do it. And it results in very, very stressful traders. You think you're an investor, but you're actually a very, very stressful trader because you're constantly fighting against your human innate bias. So when I was a trader, I had to constantly train myself to actually don't listen to my own voices. And that's how you become a very disciplined, good trader. But it's very, very hard, right? But when we talk about investing, why is it a lot simpler, and why can investing actually give you peace of mind? Think about the motivation that I talked about. The reason why you invest in certain stocks or sectors or markets is that you believe over the long term there is growth. The company makes profit, the country generates GDP, and these are very, very consistent truths if you look at it over a long-term period. So, for example, world GDP goes up by 3 to 4% every year, very, very consistently. Of course, we had some dips, but these dips would be recovered as time goes on. Like, for example, look at what happened in 2007, great financial crisis, and most recently COVID. We had like a 1 month dip, and then the world just kind of move on. And that's because we as human beings, we innovate. We use technology to help us to advance our I guess the business or economic well-being of the planet, right, globally. So you can invest in an economy, or you can invest in technology, which keeps innovating and generating productivity gains as well as company profits. Or if you look at the bottom left, we have a lot of biggest companies in the world with very, very good brands. And these companies generate profit very consistently year after year. So as an investor, you're basically buying into these growth trends, which you can feel and see every day around you. And that's a lot more easier than trading because you don't have to fight with all these psychological roadblocks. The key is, of course, a lot of StashAway users are very familiar with what we call the SRI, is the StashAway Risk Index. So the key to stay invested in the long term is to actually understand the risk that you're taking. Because inevitably, even though markets go up in the long term, there would be short-term volatilities and there would be drawdowns. And these are very, very stressful times because, again, you're fighting against your own psychology. Your natural instinct, given danger, is to fight or flight. A lot of people would choose flight, especially when, if you don't have spare money to fight, you would choose flight. And that's why even though the S&P, for example, goes up every year by 8 to 10%, still people lose money in the stock market because when you flight, you lose the chance to stay invested and you may never get invested again. So at StashAway, that's the reason why we focus so much on the drawdown risk, because we're here to help our investors to go through the most stressful time as a long-term investor. And when we ask people to choose their risk levels they're comfortable with, we actually want people to answer the question realistically. Really ask yourself, how much drawdown can you withstand? Because it's one of the most important things that you can do as a long-term investor with StashAway. Of course, after understanding your risk, there are portfolio management, analysis and work that a long-term investor can do to make the long-term investment return better. That's kind of why we're here, right? Our goal is actually to make it simple and easy for people to stay invested in a portfolio of diversified asset classes for the long term. And I think, I mean, we also do a lot of financial education so that our investors and our friends actually know more about financial knowledge, so that they can equip better. Okay, let's move on to the second roadblock, which is what a lot of people have chosen. I don't want to make the wrong decisions. Now, I think if we think about wrong decisions, we basically what we basically mean is that is there ever a bad time to invest, right? If I enter the market today, would it drop 20% in the next month and I feel so bad? Or if I sell, I mean, then the market goes up again, I feel so bad. So is there actually a bad time to invest? Let's look at some data, right, to debunk this. Now, this is a chart that shows $10,000 invested in S&P versus cash. So the green bar is cash. And actually, if you look at so both orange and blue are investments. And if you look at the time, the years, I mean, they're there for a reason. I mean, all those are market peaks preceding a significant sell-off, right? The closest one we had is 2011, which is the European crisis. And then also in 2007, 2000, that was a tech bubble. I mean, all of these were very, very significant market drawdowns. Now we have three different so-called investments. And I mean, these are the height of the bar represents the performance of these investments after up till recently, right? So after, for example, for 1990, that's already like close to, I guess, 30 years of time frame, and for 2011, I mean, of course, that's 10 years of time frame. So after 30 years, what is the difference of number one, not being invested, which is the green bar. Number two, being invested, but at the worst time, right before the market crash, like 30%. And then blue represents a perfect market timer, which invested at the market bottom. As you can see, actually, the green bar across the line is the lowest one and quite significantly lower. But the two investors who actually, one had perfect timing, one has perfectly bad timing, i.e. made the wrong decision, over the long term, doesn't make a big difference. And actually, just to put some numbers around these graphs, for the 1990 investors, being not invested versus being invested has a difference of like almost 400%. This is super significant. Similarly, 80% for the 1998 episodes, 42% for 2000, 54% for 2007, and 66% for 2011. So all these investments had worse timing, but being not invested is actually probably an even worse decision that you can make. So yeah, what is the worst decision? I guess you all know by now. Okay, last thing of the night, last debunk is I don't have enough to invest meaningfully. That's a common belief, especially for people who are just starting out in their career. So let's look at an example. Some numbers. I mean, I live in Hong Kong, so like, pardon me for people who live in Singapore and Malaysia and elsewhere, which we have with us tonight. But in Hong Kong, we have calculated that it takes 8 million Hong Kong dollar, which is roughly $1 million US to retire for 25 years. So it's actually a lot of money. But if you want to save for your retirement, what is the best way? Now we look at the amount that people need to save to have that $1 million US by age 65 when you're at different age. I actually, as a side note, I wish that somebody had shown me this chart when I was 25, because I think this is the best chart ever. So 25-year-old, if you're 25-year-old, you need to save Hong Kong dollar 5,300, which is roughly what 750 US dollar. Now, let's say you didn't start when you were 25 and you started when you're 35, you need to save almost double per month. If you get to 45, you need to save double of what you need from age 35. And if you're already 55 and you're still you're only starting to save for your retirement every month, you actually need to save 10 times as much as a 25-year-old. So I guess, I mean, I don't need to, I guess I highlight, but the story here is, I mean, the earlier you start, the easier it is, right? Even though you don't have a lot to start, if you are younger in your career, you have more time. And why is that the case, right? Compound interest is the magic word here, right? Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, says the world famous Albert Einstein. I strongly encourage everyone to think about it. Actually, one great rule of thumb that I like to teach people to use is the rule of 72. So let's say, I mean, it's simple. Like it basically helps you to calculate how many years it takes for a investment return to double. So let's say you're targeting an investment return of 6% per year. You take 72 divided by 6, so that's 12, right? So your initial investment actually takes 12 years to double. Now, let's say you have 24 years to invest. Your investment that double in the first 12 years is going to double again in the next 12 years. So by the end of the 24 year, you actually have 4 times of what you started. So think about this. It's very, very powerful. And remember, time is money. Time is not just money in the sense that we have to spend time to work to earn money, but also let money work for you over time. And this is very, very critical. So there's no bad time to start investing and better to start early. Yeah, so having said all that, if you have already decluttered your money beliefs and you have also overcome your roadblock, it's time to get started. Just pick your financial goals, implement a monthly savings plan, make it easy, make it automated, find a trusted advisor, find somebody who's low cost. Of course, I consider StashAway, but the key is, I mean, just start. So maybe with that, I'll end the presentation and we can open up for Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie, for that. It was really helpful for sure. I guess for your part, you're really sharing the facts that we should be singling out from the facts and stories. And we have a few questions from our audience. There's one for you, Diane. Maybe we'll start with that. Also, in the interest in time, I know we're supposed to stop at 8, but I think Diane and Stephanie can stay for 5 to 10 more minutes to answer a few questions that we have. But for those of you who have more exciting plans, of course, you can please go ahead and go to them. We will not be offended. So, okay, let me start now. So for Diane, in your experience of being a life coach, typically how long does it take for one to correct an improper belief?
So when it comes to human brain, there's no typical. Everyone is different. And then I give you an example, right? Like for myself, when I work on my belief work, I have this thought about, food is culture, food is love. So when I'm in a social situation, I always want to eat to show respect, right? So that thought what I work with actually taught me quite quickly to, catch myself all the time. So I was being able to do that pretty quickly. I would say like maybe 1 to 2 months of work, intentional work. But for a belief, like I don't have enough time, this actually comes back like every day. And what I want to say is that there's no such thing as improper belief. Like you decide what serves you and what doesn't serve you. And I think the goal is not to completely eliminate, because your brain is going to do its thing. But the point is to have the awareness so you catch yourself. and then be intentional about thinking out of other thoughts and practice it. Yeah, so no typical length, actually.
Thank you, Diane. Yeah, that's pretty helpful to remember that it's always a process that we have to keep reiterating. And for Stephanie, there's a question from Chuan Ting Fu, and I think Andrew has a similar question as well.
Okay.
Would you have any advice on how we could decide the suitable SRI if we just started investing?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So so there's two parts to it. So you first have to consider your financial capabilities, right? And that depends on, number one, how much of your net worth you're investing with StashAway. Number two, let's say, if the investment with StashAway has an X% of drawdown, would that affect your financial situation in terms of like payments or daily life? And what are your planned expenses? Then, that's on the kind of financial side, but also on your psychology side, the question that I like to ask myself is, would I be able to sleep at night? Would I be able to still carry on my daily job if there's a X% drawdown, right? If, let's say, you picked a 36% drawdown portfolio and you realize that, oh, I actually won't be able to sleep at night, or I would be watching the market all day if there's a 36% drawdown, then that risk is probably too high for you. So I would, think about these two aspects.
Okay, thanks for that. Maybe one question to Diane. So I can't really see who. Oh, Charmaine asked this. Thank you for sharing. It was super insightful. May I ask, what is the difference, if any, between coaching, mentoring, and therapy?
Wonderful question. Wonderful question. I love this. So mentoring first, right? Mentoring. So in coaching, I don't tell you what you should do. I show you your mind, and that's my KPI. Like, if you can't lose weight, it's your goal and your result. It's not my goal and my result. So versus mentoring, which we typically think about, mentoring might be, someone a little bit ahead of you. They will give you certain advice on the action line. With remember the model, right? The mentoring, the consultant, advisory, they work your personal trainer, your dietitian, they work on the action line. What coaching and therapy work on, it's on the thought line. Okay, and the difference between coaching and therapy is a regulated industry. They can diagnose, depression or disease or whatever, like in the brain. Coaching, it's more, it's not regulated. There are different camps of it. But to answer your question, there are more similarity than differences between therapy and coaching. And then the differences are coaching would be looking in the present and the future a lot, where therapy usually also tap in the past as well. And to work on, something like your money goals or like time management, typically people would find life coaches, because those are not something that therapists can actually help you work on. And we do see clients who might be working with both coaches and therapists at the same time. And I think also one difference is that in general, the clientele of life coaches are people who wants to go from good to great, great to exceptional, exceptional to world class. So that's the people we see coming to life coaches. Yeah.
Thank you, Diane, for explaining that. And thank you, Charmaine, for the super good question. I think most of us actually wanted to know that.
Yeah, very good question.
Okay, a question for Stephanie. This is from Anonymous. I can't see her name, but is it safe to let StashAway make decisions for me with my money? I'm really bad with data and I'm really afraid of making bad decisions. Sorry, Stephanie, your voice is a little... It sounds like you're like very far away.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, great. So apologies for that. So I guess when you say safe, there are a few aspects. So safe in the sense of regulation, safe in the sense that is your money well taken care of. So I'll try to answer from both of these angles to address the question, because I'm not sure which aspect he or she is referring to. So safe in terms of regulation, definitely very, very safe. We're regulated by actually 5 jurisdictions. Like we're fully licensed with MAS, SFC in Hong Kong, and then in Thailand, in Dubai, as well as in Malaysia. Our the assets that our client have with us is completely separate from StashAway's finances. So they actually sit in a custodian bank with Citibank in Singapore. So in that sense, is very, very safe. Even if something happens to StashAway, touch wood, nothing would happen to your assets. So the second part is safe in the sense that is it well taken care of? So we actually is slightly different from other robo-advisors or digital wealth managers out there, in that we actually have a very, very seasoned investment committee, which is made up of Freddie, who's a CIO, and myself, deputy CIO, and also our country managers, and also our CEO, CTO, who are also very, very well versed or well knowledge in the world of investment. So the reason why we need to have an investment committee, even though we have our algorithm that runs 24/7 to look after investment for us, is because the algorithm actually makes a good decision 99% of the time. But there are also sometimes 1% of chance that the algorithm may not have seen something that happens in the market. So I'll take an example of COVID, right? COVID was actually something, in terms of market event, it was not unprecedented. So market drawdowns of 30% plus, as we've seen in the chart, that happens historically every few years. But what was quite unprecedented for COVID was that the government actually stopped working. So the government actually didn't produce any data for an extended period of time. So then our model, as our users may know, focuses on interpreting the macro data to make asset allocation decisions. So the problem is, without macro data input, then how are we going to generate the outputs from the model? So that's when the investment expertise comes in, because we were able to figure out that if the incoming data is missing, then what we can do is actually flip the model around and to look at what the prices are implying the economic situation is. And when we did that, we realized that actually the market prices already imply a very, very deep recession. So everything is priced into the market already. And that has helped us to really actually hold steady during the whole COVID episode and generate very, very good returns at the end of the year. So this is something that is quite differentiated. I think if you compare us with other digital wealth managers, because most of them may not have a CIO office, may not have the investment expertise that could handle these very, very unique situations. And it really comes from experience of running real assets, of running multi-asset portfolios of significant size. So yeah, hopefully I answer that question. But thanks a lot. That's a great question.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, I guess we're really going over time, so I'm gonna stop the webinar here. Thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate you spending your Tuesday night with us. Thank you so much, Diane, for sharing and going through a real step-by-step workshop through us, and Stephanie for debunking all those money beliefs that all of us probably have. I just want to share that tomorrow we also have another webinar, but it will be about the recent reoptimization that we had last week. And it will be our CIO, Freddie Lim, who will be answering all your questions live. So feel free to shoot him any questions that you might have for him. I'm sure there are many. And I do see there's a lot of Q&A. So please feel free to reach out to us through our channels, all our contacts on the website, and we'll definitely get back to you. Have a great evening, everyone. Not evening, night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.